Welcome, refugees, cultists, and mobsters, to episode 557 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 30th of May 2026, and featuring Immortal Sins, written by Jane Espenson and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Kai Owen as Reese Williams, Mackay Pfeiffer as Rex Matheson, and Alex Havens as Esther Drummond. I'm Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and I'm already tired of summer. Please bring back fall weather. With me are Alex Fyrehart
Hello.
and Aaron RomeoMoon Burke.
Hello.
So I've been out of it, either causing cancellations or having the podcast go on without me for a while because grading in the midst of the socio-political situation of 2026 has just taken a lot out of me. But the semester is over, and yeah, so I'm here and around, and I've taken my micro vacation of just like blocking everything out for a week or so, and now I'm kind of getting back into life. How's everyone else doing?
Doing okay. I'm here. Um, I have survived. I don't know, Alex. Did you want to go first, or do you want me to continue?
You can go first.
Okay. Yeah, I've just kind of been drifting in and out. Like, I'm still unemployed. I'm not even on unemployment because I don't want to be jumping through the government's hoops just for like a few scraps of money and everything. So I'm just like, screw it. I'm okay with savings, and I'm just gonna live like this for a little bit. I have applied to a couple of jobs. One is C Motive. It's a assembly tech position out in what do you call it? Out in Middleton, and they build uh, motors for electric cars that don't require rare earth metals, and they only use about 1% copper. And it's a process that was developed. Yeah, it's a process that was developed here at the UW. So that sounds like a really cool job that I would not mind at all. Mm-hmm. So, um, yeah. Yeah, I'm right now I'm kind of curious about that. I also applied for a supervisor position at one of the other factories here, so we'll see if either of those lead to anywhere. And then Monday I'll probably start looking at some lower paying jobs just to tide me over. The problem is that the contract is supposed to be signed around, I think, the 18th or 19th. I don't see them going on strike at the old job, and I know that plant management and the union went to corporate and asked for 14 people to be called back, which would definitely include me. So I'm hoping that they don't, stall on the contract for too long. Of course, you don't want to just give up and settle for a terrible contract either.
Right.
Yeah, but I hope that they are able to sign something quickly and I can get back to work at my old job at some point. So, would be nice. But anyway, oh yeah, we also went to Delshire a couple of weeks ago too. So, Delshire in Wisconsin Dells, amazing resort, medieval themed, but not like chintzy or cheap. And that they spent money on making sure everything was of a good quality. So, definitely check that out if you have a chance. But that's it for me.
For me, it's been fairly relaxed. I will say, literally yesterday, I finally got the payout for my long service leave, so that's nice.
Yay!
Nice.
After all the fucking around that took to get sorted. Of course, at least a little bit of it is already gone because I plan on doing a very long trip in October where I'll be away from home for most of the month if it happens. And that's a big if, because if I don't have the money, then I'll be canning it decently enough ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then we'll see how we go. But yeah, like I've got the flights paid off because I actively went for. I pretty much only fly the equivalent of business now because I need the seat space. Because when I'm in the normal economy seats, I don't like being in other people's personal space, so I'll just kind of shrink in on myself and it just fucks my shoulders up.
Mhm.
So I managed to find flights that were cheap enough despite being effectively business that I was able to get like the flight down and the flight back for like under $2,000, so that's nice. um so I've still got plenty of that money put aside, and I'm just going to. The one benefit I've noticed is that not being at work, I'm not tempted to buy food there, then get home, then buy food again. So for the most part, I've just been buying groceries, and like even when I have been buying McDonald's because there's a McDonald's nearby, it hasn't really been eating into my budget, like into my like money as much as I thought it would. I've still been trying to like not do it like every damn day. Um and like yesterday there's a supermarket within walking distance of where I live, so I walked down, had something to eat at the McDonald's so I wasn't paying extra to get it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
So that brought the cost down. Then went and did grocery shopping, then walked home. Um uh which I'm going to have to get into the habit of going on walks more often because now that I don't have work to
Yeah.
work to get exercise through, it's like, yeah, I'm probably going to have to get into the habit of that. And like, given that we live close enough and I don't have to worry about like preserving my body for work now, it's like, okay, I'll walk down there and back because that'll effectively be my exercise for the day. As opposed to, oh, well, if I do that, and I'll have to work tomorrow, and what if I like, you know, accidentally step in a hole I can't see because it's like covered in grass or whatever, and like twist my ankle or some bullcrap. But yeah, uh, yeah, like aside, so thankfully I haven't been, and I've generally not been spending as much. Like I think the most I spent on something that wasn't groceries was like I decided to cave and buy the pixel remasters of the first 6 Final Fantasy games for I guess technically PS4, but um on my PS5. Um so I've got those now. So I now have, God, how many of them I own now? I've got those remasters 1 through 6, the port of 7, 8 and 9 remastered, 10 and 10-2 remastered, and then I think nothing until 15 and 16. So 11, 12, 13 is the main gap there. I guess I technically have 14 and I've played that a little bit. But yeah. I don't know when I'm going to get around to actually playing the the pixel remasters of those earlier Final Fantasy games, but we'll see. I might be just a like I might be trying to get back into streaming on my own
Oh,
soon,
nice.
so we'll see. I might take advantage of that by doing it that way because
I-
I mean noticing an interesting like renewed interest in the older Final Fantasy games lately. Like I've watched over the past year, possibly past 2 years, I've watched like 3 or 4 different streamers stream Final Fantasy X. um which I think it's its 25th anniversary this year, which might be why in some cases. But yeah, there's like a lot of people in most cases streaming it for the first time or like playing it for the first time on stream. I think in one case it was a matter of one person she'd watched people play it before but like never played it herself.
So Final
Um
Fantasy X came out July of 01 in
hmm,
Japan and in December of 01 in North America. Uh, a little later than that if you're talking Australia, but since you're talking
hmm.
streamers, it's probably not just Australia.
Right. Yeah. I think most of the I think only one streamer I've watched is Aussie. The rest have all been based in the US.
Oh, it's out on the Switch now. I didn't know, or it has been for a few years. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that'd be the. I'm not sure which one that would be, but there was like originally did a remaster for the PS3, and then they did like a slightly updated one for the PS4. So it's one of those.
It was released for the Xbone at the same time, so whichever one that is, probably.
Yeah.
I need to schedule more intentional gaming time because lately I've just been doing a lot of like not Sudoku, but what's the other thing that's like Sudoku? Kakuro. I've also been doing some other like mobile games that are just kind of, the quick serotonin, no long term planning type games, which are very good at sapping away an hour when you think only 5 minutes have passed. So I should probably start playing games that are at least I get more out of.
Mm.
Although on that note, I have been playing Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, for the past few weeks. So I'm trying to limit the time I spend on that by not constantly making Miis, but I have 37 on my island now. They're all Undertale Yellow, and Deltarune characters, as well as I think I've got 2 YouTubers on there now, plus Toby Fox, and I have 5 more streamers, YouTubers. I call them all YouTubers because I watch their VODs on YouTube, even if they're Twitch streamers. I have 5 more streamers or YouTubers planned, and then probably some Pokemon characters. Y'all mentioned budgets. I mentioned this a little bit to Aaron before stream. I've been going definitely over my daily budget planned when I kind of budgeted out for the summer. Uh, Part of that is because of just groceries do not cost what the same thing that they cost before Trump got elected. And even more before we went to started a pointless war with Iran. Um, Also, I'm kind of preloading. Like, I bought a cooling vest where you put like basically ice packs in the freezer and then just wear them on a vest. So like once it hits 100 degrees, I'm really gonna need that in order to not just couch rot. And I bought some other cooling things that are otherwise useful. To keep cool. Um, Also, I had a tooth out, and I think either I paid more attention to the instructions this time, or the instructions are stricter because it is a wisdom tooth. But so I've been getting a lot of takeout because I can't eat any of the groceries I bought.
Mm.
I mean, 3 o'clock tomorrow is going to be the end of 72 hours. But for the past few days, I've been buying like Culver's shrimp basket and stuff like that that doesn't require a lot of biting and chewing.
Mm.
But after that, I need to actually eat my groceries and not order takeout for a while.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
hard to break that loop of ordering takeout. I
Yeah.
entered that loop
Yeah.
before too, so.
Mm.
When I was at like I don't I don't monitor my weight at all, but like when I was at my biggest where I was getting out of breath most easily and I was having trouble fitting into my clothes, it was because I had been stressed out and was ordering takeout twice a day.
Mm.
So
Mm.
you end up you want to order enough to get the free delivery, and then you're like, well, I can't just not eat the food that I bought.
Yeah.
It ends up causing some cycles.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like something I would tend to do sometimes is like if I decide to order pizza, I'll buy enough that I know I'm not going to eat it all in one go and then just like put the rest on plates and like cover them with stuff to keep them fresh and just chuck them in the fridge and then
Th-
eat it the next
There's
day
that
or
too
something.
because pizza tastes so much better when it's fresh than when you microwave it. So I
Hmm.
always part of me always wants to eat the whole thing in one sitting,
Yeah.
and despite the fact that I know that I can't and I shouldn't.
Yeah. Like I think the only times I mean, yeah. I definitely shouldn't, but I can usually still down like at least a pizza's worth of something, but it also depends on the pizza. Like some is more filling than others, so I'm like, oh wow, even just two slices got me
Mhm.
pretty full. Or like I mostly if I order from like a chain place, I order from Pizza Hut because they're not that bad here. And if I ever get my main thing is just getting pepperoni pizza now, and I'll
Mhm.
just get like the sort of thin thin crust thing. It's not like a thin base or whatever. So like um that I could easily eat a full thing of if I'm just eating that because it's so thin. Um but yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I'm also gonna have to be like, I should probably tone down the like quantity of what I am eating in terms of for each meal if I want to start dropping weight again.
I mean,
Hmm.
I did look it up, and gluten-free does have a lower glycemic index, I think. So
Mm.
I've kind of gone back to gluten-free bread, but I don't know. We'll see how long that lasts.
Mm.
Which reminds me, I've been told to start monitoring my blood pressure, and if my blood pressure is high, to start eating less salt. Uh, I
Mhm.
was never told I had high blood pressure until my current doctor, so I can't tell if it's actually high or if I just get really anxious in the clinic. But that's why he said to buy a cuff at home and start keeping track of it.
Hmm.
Could be a mixture of both. It's probably a bit too much DoorDash as well as
Mm.
anxiety from the clinic.
Yeah, I have a cuff here,
Yeah.
so make sure you get like the arm-based one and not the wrist-based one. Make sure you take it before you eat in the morning and when you first get
Okay,
up and all that.
I don't think he told me at what specific time, so I set an alarm
Mhm.
to do it at 3 o'clock every day, but
Yeah, like do it
maybe I
first
should
thing in the
start doing it in the
morning
morning.
and
Okay.
yeah, before you do any kind of any kind of walking around or anything like that, just kind of walk over to your desk and take sit for about 5 minutes and kind of settle down and then have it
Okay.
taken. So I
That's
I
good to
keep
know.
I keep mine in like a spreadsheet, and then I also keep mine in Samsung Health in their app
I was gonna
too.
say, yeah, I just bought I had to import a Fitbit, or not a Fitbit, but the Samsung Fit, because they don't sell them in the United States anymore because they decided it wasn't profitable enough. They'd rather
Hmm.
sell everybody $400 watches instead.
Yeah.
But so I imported a Samsung Fit using, or it was already imported. It was Newegg. But yeah, I got a Samsung Fit, and I'm like, okay, at the same time, I'm going to start keeping track of blood pressure in the app as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we've gone on for a while, and I've left the window. So, okay. Uh, all right, so today we have our birthdays and news. I also we've got a YouTube comment that that I wanted to highlight as well.
Hmm.
Then we have our Geek Talk review of Shame, along with the taking the retcon connected to the review of Shame. Then our episode summary, historical fact check, and our review, final thoughts, and ratings. John, to Alex with the birthdays.
Yep. So starting on the 19th of May, we have Michael Wisher, who was a Dalek who did Dalek voices for out of 4 of the Third Doctor Dalek stories, and later originated the role of Davros in Genesis of the Daleks, among other roles. Would have been 91, but died in 1995 at the age of 60.
Hmm.
On the 21st of May, we have Juliet Cohen, or Cowan, who played Chrissy Jackson, mother to Sarah Jane Adventures' companion, I guess, for lack of a better term, Maria Jackson. In series 1 and 2 of that show, turned 52. On the 24th of May, we have Jim Broadbent, who played the 11th Doctor in Curse of Fatal Death, most known for playing other roles. But one of those we'd be here all day kind of a things. Turned 77. Also on the 24th of May, we have Graham Williams, who was the producer for seasons 15 through 17 of Doctor Who. In the classic era, would have been 91, but died in 2019 at the age of 84. On the 25th of May, we have Sir Ian McKellen, who played the Great Intelligence in The Snowman, but is more well known for playing Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, and Magneto in the original run of X-Men movies, and like 1 or 2 since, and seemingly might be in the Avengers movies coming up, or at least one of them. Among many other roles, again, another actor where we'd be here all day if we were listing off a lot of notable roles. Turned 87. On the 26th of May, we have Peter Cushing.
Speaking of actors who'd be here all day.
Who played Doctor Who in the Arrow Dalek movies, but better known to sci-fi fans as Grand Moff Tarkin, as well as also known for playing Van Helsing in all of those Hammer horror movies. Would have been 113, but died in 1994 at the age of 81. On the 29th of May, we have Pearl Mackie, who was Bill Potts in Series 10 and Twice Upon a Time for modern era Doctor Who. Turned 39. Fun fact, I also learned, I don't know if it would have come up at the time, nor would we have necessarily covered it, but apparently she came out as bisexual in 2020. So that was interesting to find out. Moving on from that, on the 30th of May, we have 3 birthdays. First up, we have Mark Shepard, who played Canton Delaware in The Impossible Astronaut / Day of the Moon, but is better known as Crowley from Supernatural, turned 62. Also on the 30th, we have Tracy Childs, who played Metella in The Fires of Pompeii, and was the 7th Doctor audio-only companion Elizabeth Klein. Turned 63. And finally, also on the 30th of May, we have Christopher Robbie, who played the Cyber Leader in Revenge of the Cybermen and Carcass in The Mind Robber. Didn't enter the full age. My bad on that one.
Turned 8.
Yeah. I'm like, it'd be 80 something. 88. I think it was. I'll just check to be safe. Yeah, 88 seems like that would be correct because that would mean he would be turning 90 in 2 years. So apologies for the screw up there, but happy birthday to Michael, Juliet, Jim, Graham, Sir Ian, Peter, Pearl, Mark, Tracy, and Christopher. Unlike last week, we didn't have any repeat names. Yeah. I think we had like 2 or 3 different. There was like 2 Peters and then 2 other names.
Yeah, that happens a
lot. Moving on from that, we unfortunately have some lost stories. And one of these I'm going to apologize, especially because I say we, the royal we, I fucked up and did not see this first one until recently, despite the fact that it was early April, so we should have covered it last time. So yeah, that is entirely on me. Going by the Doctor Who News.net dating for it, the news was broken on the 1st of April. So yeah,
It could be that you're like me, and anything with the 1st of April just there's a perception filter, and you don't see it.
It was either that or a matter of like I was ignoring some stuff because I was like, it's been so long that I'm like, is this really relevant to bring up anymore? And this, I must have just like scrolled right past it. Either that or maybe like they published it on the 1st of April but made it like to be released later, but because they actually put it up on the 1st of April, that's when the date it gives. I don't know. But either way, this is an overdue one, but I also didn't want to skip over it because that felt like wrong to do. But in any case, an Unearthly Podcast is sad to report the death of Laurie Webb. Reading from the Doctor Who News.net article about it. The oldest living actor who has appeared in Doctor Who, Laurie Webb, has died at the age of 101. Laurie Webb appeared in the 1972/73 The Doctor Story of the Three Doctors, where he played Mr. Ollis, the game warden of Minsbridge Wildlife Sanctuary. Webb had a long career in British television, first appearing in the 1950s. He played many characters in the comedy series Hancock's Half Hour. Other roles include parts in Paul Temple, The Troubleshooters, Doomwatch, The Goodies, and The Brothers. Born in 1924, he served in the Second World War as a sergeant major with the Royal Corps of Signals, stationed in both France and Germany. Laurie Webb died peacefully on Sunday, the 29th of March, just 5 weeks short of his 102nd birthday. Laurie Webb became the oldest surviving member of the Doctor Who cast in December of 2024 on the death of Arnold Yarrow. That title is now believed to be held by Peter Cellier, who appeared in the 1982 story Time Flight and who is currently 97. The longest lived Doctor Who actor remains Arnold Yarrow, who lived to the age of 104. So rest in peace, Laurie. And hey, 101? Not bad. You know, especially
Yeah.
considering the condition of those like studios back then with all that
Oh
asbestos
yeah.
and shit. Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of, you know, he got lucky on that to last that long because that's part of the reason why a lot of those actors aren't still around, or at least didn't make it that long. Um, and hey, he went peacefully in his sleep, especially like,
Mm.
which at that age is more likely, but you know, at least it wasn't illness.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, condolences to friends and family for Laurie Webb. And moving on from that, we also have the unfortunate passing of Michael Keating. Reading for a snippet of, because if I read the whole thing, we'd be here for like 10, 20 minutes. So just reading the snippet that we'll have on screen. Michael reprised the role for Big Finish in the Liberator Chronicles full cast plays and audiobooks. In audiobook readings, he played, I'm assuming, Gaudry. I haven't heard the name in a while because I haven't seen the story in a while. In the 1977 Doctor Who TV story The Sunmakers, and subsequently had roles in Big Finish audios alongside Tom Baker, Colin Baker, and Paul McGann. And to a generation of soap fans, he was the Reverend George Stevens in 54 episodes of EastEnders between 2005 and 2017. His final Big Finish credit was in The Terra Nostra alongside Ellie Navette and Carl Howman, released in January of 2022. And just for the little blurb at the end, he was born on the 10th of February in 1947 and died on the 26th of April 2026. I feel like this was one where, because you could almost, you read that and you go, oh, so did you miss this one as well? I feel like this was one where they didn't make it public until after our last one, because I'm pretty sure when I brought it up, it was after our last one, but I don't remember seeing it listed as news on the Big Finish website. When I was gathering news for the last podcast, so this might be one where the family wanted it to be held off for a bit.
Yeah, it looks like it got posted on the 21st, and our last podcast was on the 16th. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna assume from that it was like the family asking for the news to be held off a bit,
Mm-hmm.
which is understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I guess to clarify, he was 79 when he died. So like bordering on a good run. You know, making it
Yeah.
to making it to 79 is still nothing to sneeze at, but
Yeah.
10 months short.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so rest in peace to both Laurie and Michael, and condolences to their friends and families.
Moving on from there, we don't have specifically episode news, although I guess we could have slotted this in there. But we move on to cast and crew interviews, where we've got a bit going on there. And I'll keep this brief because technically it's not a Doctor Who article, but I think it gives us it gives us information as to how things are going with Doctor Who. Russell T Davies recently did an interview on the Full Disclosure podcast, in which Let me look for the actual quotes other than the headline here. But they asked about what he's working on next / in the future. And he mentions that he is not going to be in the studio filming anything until next year. And as far as I'm aware, having following all the sources we typically follow, right? Twitter, Doctor Who News, Cultbox. If the Christmas special has been filmed, it's been entirely within studio and not on location because nobody has taken any photos of it.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm.
there is confirmation that the Christmas special is written, but based on this quote, it sounds like it's not, unless it's been filmed entirely in studio, it's not going to be filmed this year. Going on to, I didn't realize when I put the slides together, we also had this link elsewhere in our outline. But well, via another source, apparently the Sun has gone out and said that this is because they're still looking for the next Doctor actor. The Sun is the Sun, and we won't be
Yeah.
giving that too much credence. But it
Mm-hmm.
is possible, right? The evidence we see says it's possible. If Billy Piper is the Doctor, they're keeping it kind of hush hush and keeping everyone
Mm.
confused. Even Shudigatwa recently kind of mentioned being confused about regenerating into Billy Piper.
Mm.
So whatever they have, either they don't know what's planned or they've done a very good job of keeping us from knowing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not sure when the radio time schedule for the summer for the Christmas is usually announced. I'm guessing around October. Um, in terms of
Possibly.
like the general things coming up. So we'll
Mm.
probably, I mean, one way or another, right? If they're having a
Yeah.
special, they'll have said something by the end of October. Of course,
Mm.
at this point, it's entirely possible the rest of the world will not get it unless we pirate it. Because right now, the only legal way for somebody in the US or Australia to get the war between the land and the sea is to buy a British DVD or Blu-ray and put it into either a Region Zero DVD player because
Mm.
it has not been released in any capacity outside of the UK,
Yeah.
which is more wild to me the more time goes on.
That
Right.
is pretty
Like,
crazy.
it really does make me wonder if Disney are just being petty at this point, and like maybe the BBC are not allowed to get streaming rights sorted for like the show moving forward, because as we pointed out last time, the deal with AMC Plus is pre-Disney
Yeah.
modern era Who, but there's no mention of moving forward stuff like
Or it may
post
be,
Disney.
I mean, it's possible that for the things that have yet to be filmed, they could work out. It would have its own deal. But like
Mm,
War Between Land and the Sea was co-produced by Disney, so Disney money was
yeah,
in it. They can't turn around and say, well, even if Disney doesn't put it out, we're going to put out the DVD. I think they have to wait until Disney puts it out before they can put out a
yeah,
DVD.
Hmm.
right. Um, and I would also assume, like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise. Like, I think I've seen people comment on that speculation of like, no, they probably don't have to wait for Disney to do it. But also wouldn't surprise me if the way Russell's talking, it sounds like he's already kind of moved on. So he's not prioritizing getting it done. And also, with
Yeah, because I mean,
all
as
this.
far as he's concerned, all of his fans are on one island, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nobody else that matters. Oh
Like
yeah,
it's.
we didn't talk about that other quote that
Yeah.
oh yeah, we haven't even talked about his other show, and apparently the fact that he's well, we'll be on here for a while if we go into too much
Yeah,
detail
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
But
Like,
apparently he wants to make sure that the transphobes are sympathetic in his new show.
Huh. Okay.
mm,
All right.
Yeah, which is like, I'll put it this way: I was almost thinking of putting that as like a rant, but if I do that at all, I'll probably save it for next time. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, suffice to say, get your head out of your ass, Russell.
Right. Like he's this close to saying like Joanna and I are very good friends, and I don't
Yeah.
wish to speak ill of her.
Right.
Moving on to our next interview, Jeffrey Sachs of the TV movie has done at least one interview. I don't know if Radio Times took one interview and split it into 4 or 5 different articles, or
Mm.
if he's done a string of different interviews. I think it was just okay. I think it was just one interview with the Radio Times that Radio Times is milking.
Probably,
Looks like
yeah,
it.
because like the if it was two, the only way I could assume that is the thing that's listed last of what we'll be talking about from that they talked about with him was published on the 18th of May, and the others were all in the last few days.
Ah,
So it's either they're really stretching it, or what the fourth thing we'll be talking about was from a separate interview, and then they did another one and got 3 articles out of that.
so the funny enough, that one is the like all of the others. It looks like say told Radio Times. Okay, so
Mm,
actually, so the that last one says speaking at a BFI screening of the TV movie. So that's the occasion.
mm,
There was a BFI screening of the movie because it was okay because there's a new 4K edition.
right,
Um,
yeah.
so maybe that was a commentary that he gave, and the rest was all from a Radio Times interview.
Could be, yeah.
But I, yeah, kind of wrapped it all together in here.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, so first of all, let's see. Going looking at this first one. Uh, when Sachs joined the project, Paul McGann was not yet attached to it. He had done a screen test. Let me see. Articles are not written by journalistic standards anymore, and it gets
yeah.
very annoying. There we go. Halfway down the article is the lead. Uh, Somebody named Harry Van Gorkum was almost a doctor. I do not know who that is.
Mm,
Um, he came extremely close, and he had a huge amount of charisma. Sachs says they were pushing for him, but okay. So the BBC. So this is unusual for Doctor Who. The BBC wanted somebody who had a bit more of a name behind them. They wanted somebody already known.
mm.
Uh, so that's how they got Paul McGann, who already had an established acting career.
Yeah, because like even just looking at Harry Van Gorkum's uh wiki page, it's looking like it's predominantly like supporting roles, and
Okay.
a lot of them are either stuff that I would not have seen, or shows I've seen, or stuff like that, but would not be able to remember that he was in them
The
because he would have
important
been like,
part is whether the average Brit would have seen them.
right.
Because
Um,
most of the cast that we talk about, I've not seen anything that they've been in except for Doctor Who.
mm. Well, funnily enough, he's from England, but most of the credits I see are all for stuff. Oh, there you go. He later moved to the US.
Ah,
In by looks of it, 89. So yeah, it's like,
got you. So they do say on here specifically more established in the UK. So that
yeah,
probably makes the difference there.
right, yeah. Because like by looks of it, yeah, he was like sort of a supporting slash bit part actor in a lot of stuff. And my guess is they might have considered it. I mean, they also say in the thing about like he had a huge amount of charisma and this and that, and they were pushing for him. I think it's also a matter of they might have been considering because I'm like, oh, he's an English actor who lives here. So if this does result in a TV show,
Hmm.
he doesn't have to worry about moving.
Yeah, at least not as far.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of which, our next article, they talk about uh, the extent to which they were hoping the TV movie became a full series. Sachs has said that they didn't talk about it much on set. It says there was excitement around the project potentially continuing, but he does not remember much discussion about a follow-up series taking place on set. So at least in his mind, it was just there to do the movie, which I think that's going to be more the case for the director than for the producer or the actors.
Mm.
It was filmed in Vancouver, and there is, let me see. So okay, so Sachs mentions certain like the set design and stuff was already underway by the time he got there. That he felt it was unusual that normally the director sits down and talks with the designers and such, but that work had already been started by the time he got there. There wasn't time to discuss anything like what it would look like as a series or anything like that. Which to me, that kind of sounds like it was being almost like they were approaching it like a TV episode where the director has a
Mm.
diminished role and the producer kind of takes all of that stuff on. Whereas in a typical
Yeah.
movie, right, the director has all of that say.
Right.
And you know, guys,
Especially if it's like effectively a pilot for a revival of the show.
yeah.
That would also make sense.
Okay, so here's the quote they used for the headline. I do know that Paul McGann was taken around various apartments and houses because they said if this does become a series, you're going to have to move out here and it'll be a very big commitment. There was excitement about there was that excitement about this could happen and relocation to Vancouver.
Hmm.
Um,
Which, given as part of the British Commonwealth, probably would have been a bit easier for him than moving to the US.
yeah. Um, Sachs said that when a series did not happen, he said, I was bitterly disappointed that it didn't take off at the time because if you do a pilot that becomes successful in the States, the networks are going to say, well, he's made a show that's been a success. Let's have him for the next one. So it would have been
Hmm.
good for his career if it had
Yeah.
kicked off a show that was popular in the US.
Hmm.
And then moving there to our third article, which this one actually I did not see on my own. Alex found this one. Doctor Who TV movie director responds to question on potential Paul McGann spin-off series. He says he would absolutely be open to working with Paul McGann on a new Eighth Doctor project. Did you happen to like read the article and see if there was anything beyond that interesting? Because that sounds a lot like what if sort of speculation stuff.
Well, yeah, it is mostly like speculation of like if they, especially like
If they call me
specifically
and
there's
offer me a
a
truckload of money, I'll happily take a truckful
yeah.
of money.
I mean, it might also just be a matter of hey, it's work,
Right,
and like
right.
it'd also probably be a matter of like he liked working with Paul McGann. I would assume, especially because like the quote here is like, I'd love to work again with Paul. I think now 30 years on, especially with this renewed interest in it, I would definitely, I'd love to be involved. Like it's sort of if they do, which I feel like there has been speculation for like even during the Disney thing when they were like, oh well, if this spin-off does well and the Disney deal sticks
People
around,
have been
maybe they would
talking
do that.
nonstop about a Paul
Oh
McGann
yeah, yeah,
spinoff
yeah,
ever since Night of the Doctor.
yeah, yeah. But I guess it's like I get,
Probably before that.
yeah, yeah. I guess I mean like I definitely remember like in the wake of the war between the land and the sea being announced originally,
Right.
people were like, "Oh, well, Disney's probably going to want more than just one spin-off or probably more than just the main show." So people were like speculation kind of ramped up again of, "Oh, maybe they'll do something with the Eighth Doctor, and um, I do feel that most, if they do, would be although I will say this does have a little funny quote here is like on from that article is that the director says, I've done more podcasts and interviews and that than anything on any other show that I've ever done in my entire career, and if we're doing it 30 years later is extraordinary. So that's kind of funny.
I was gonna bring that up, starting with the line before that. What's been
Mm.
interesting about this is that normally directors on TV shows are not often mentioned. So he
Mm,
was saying it as, this is a TV directing job, not so much
yeah.
a movie directing job.
Mm. But I guess it makes sense that he'd be thrown off by that because yeah, that is very much a if you're like Doctor Who is definitely a fandom where you're going to hear directors mentioned because at least in classic especially there were plenty of directors who would come back and
Mhm.
like, Barry Letts started as a director on Doctor Who and
But
then
I don't think
became the
as
producer
many
for
of the
5 years.
directors, unless they got promoted, I don't think as many of the directors have been
Right.
talked about as much as the TV movie, just because of its
Right.
status as a movie.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's definitely more notable
Mhm.
in
Like, we don't
instance.
talk about the person who directed Spyfall, the
Right,
same way.
right. Yeah. Like it mainly really is like recurring directors or like
Yeah.
in so much as have done more than one story that are usually gonna come up. So he probably would be the most talked about that I can think of is probably the most talked about director that's only done one story. Short of like when oh, I forget if the first story she did was Survival, but like the
Hmm.
first female director for Doctor Who.
I think it was.
Um
I think it was Survival.
yeah. Like that became like she was the first woman to direct for Doctor Who, so that became like that's a big enough deal to be notable. Um but otherwise, yeah, I think it's mostly recurring
Mhm.
directors that get brought up.
Moving on to our last piece about the TV movie. This is about alternate endings that had been written. I don't think filmed. I think it was just that had been
Hmm.
pitched. So they had kind of, maybe they had gone as far as storyboarding it or so, but they pitched this. So this was the confrontation between the Master and the Doctor, and how they were going to do that, um, and kind of working out different ways of what the final battle scene could mean. So one pitch, they say at one point they were in pods and I say they is Sax. At one point they were in pods and floating around. It would have been wonderful to do that.
Hmm.
That version was abandoned for budgetary reasons. Instead with a more
Mm.
traditional physical bout.
I do love the earlier quote from this saying that like for the big fight with the Master and the Doctor, Matthew wrote, they fight in a cool and interesting way.
Yeah.
And then he says, I remember Phil Siegel and I were in the production office and we said, Matthew, what does that mean? He said, well, I'll come up with something.
That's really going so far as to, I'm not going to do the director's job. I will let the director do it,
Yeah.
and going so
That
far as to, there's nothing written for this.
right. Like that just reminds me of like jokes from behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings movies where Peter Jackson admitted that when it came to the romance scenes, he just kind of left that for his now wife, then just like partner
Ah,
and Philippa Boyens to write. Um, and they would do the opposite with action sequences where they would just be like, they fight. Because they know Peter's going to turn it into like 20 minutes of or
got you.
whatever of
Okay.
things.
I
They're
was
like,
I was
he'll sort that out.
I was thinking of like how Scrubs, the script, would sometimes say Neil Flynn says something funny. Moving on from cast and crew news. Yeah, we're gonna skip over that little one because it's just
Mm-hmm.
character appears in multimedia. Um, and in retrospect, maybe we've talked enough that this next one isn't super relevant, but I have it here. And I forgot. So this was the founder of Film is Fabulous explains some of what goes on in the preservation project. So this is the people that work on finding and preserving missing Doctor Who episodes. And of course, they've had recent attention on them because 2 episodes of the Daleks' Master Plan have been restored. There was some, let me see, there were some specific lines that I thought were interesting to point out. They do say they don't currently have any episodes in their possession.
In the
Where
sense that
is
they've
it?
handed over the ones that they
Yeah,
did just have to the BBC. So,
here we go. So here's the quote that I thought was interesting. We are aware of some collections in which the thing is, some of these collections are so large that it's not even necessarily what the individuals might want to do. It's how we can actually align with their ideas and thoughts as well. Taking a
mm.
collection where there's 16,000 films, and I think that means rolls of film, right? Like an episode, not
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
movies. Would currently take us 2 years to catalog. I mean, it's a lot of work. So we work on the basis that as long as we know things are safe and we can come back to them when it's right for the collector and it's right for us.
Hmm. So yeah, they're
Uh,
not just like barging into people's houses and being like, "Hey, can we make copies of all of your stuff?"
yeah. He says, it's my hope, my expectation that we will be in a position soon to take some of these collections to identify some of the missing items that those people have to return them to the BBC. And I've just been uh, there should be a name. There we go. John Franklin is the name of the person, the founder
Hmm.
of Film is Fabulous.
And I will say they have specified before it's more like film preservation, film TV preservation in general. It's just that the main find thus far for them has been these missing episodes of Dalek's Master Plan.
I imagine that gets more attention than some other
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Moving on, that just brings us to Big Finish news. So we have a few new releases and then a Mandip Gill interview. First off, on May 19th, we have The War Doctor Rises, Fear of the Light, written by Roshana Patel, starring Jonathan Carley as the War Doctor and Siobhan Redman as the War Ronnie. Then on May 21st, we had Rutins versus Centaurans rendition, written by Tim Foley, starring Michael Troughton as the second Doctor, Paul McGann as the eighth Doctor, Fraser Hines as Jamie McCrimmon, and Wendy Padbury as Zoe Harriet. And then on May 27, we had Torchwood Farewell, which is the 100th and final Big Finish Torchwood story, written by Joseph Lidster, starring Gareth David Lloyd as Yanto Jones and Timothy Bentinck as Tommy Pierce. And I don't trust Big Finish when they say something is final. Maybe in this
Well, yeah,
specific
they
thing,
say they say they say the final thing of the range, but I guess it also might just be they've gone like
they don't really do.
what
They do mini series
like
now instead of
yeah, like
ranges. So
yeah, I guess that's just it. That might be what they mean is like the range is ending, like the ongoing monthly range is ending, and now they're gonna go into box sets maybe. So it might have been they were even just holding out. It's like, hey, let's at least get to 100, and then we'll stop the range, and we'll go into Torchwood box sets.
yeah, that's
That being
most like
said,
yeah.
yeah, that being said, with John Barrowman putting his foot in it, I wonder if they're like, maybe they can't get
I figure they've mostly been doing them
uh
without Barrowman
oh
lately,
yeah, they
anyway.
have been. Like I don't think ever since like the BBC told him to piss off, I don't think he's done any Big Finish. And anything that came out after that was stuff they'd already done. So it was like,
Right.
well, we're not gonna just sit on this. So, but I assume like if they can't get Eve Miles back to do it, then they're probably also just going like, well, fuck, there's only so much we can do if we can't use Captain Jack, so we might as well just end this for
They've
the
been doing a
time
lot
being.
with Yanto, but Yanto died at the end of series 2.
Right,
So
yeah,
there's only
true.
so
I
much
guess
you
I
can
guess
do.
yeah, I guess I mean like there's only so much backfill for Torchwood you can do before you're like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to either try to get Eve Miles in to
And
do like post Miracle Day stuff or post generally modern day stuff, or
Right.
if you almost wonder if they're just going to pivot to unit fully.
Yeah. And I guess they're never going to get Mekhi Phifer to come in and do something. Our other piece is an interview with Mandip Gill about the Big Finish 13th Doctor adventures, although this is a Radio Times article. And this is specifically talking about people were wondering if they were going to ignore or build on the kind of I don't want to necessarily say romantic relationship, but at least the romantic spark that was present between 13 and Yaz. And of course, people say, well, if it's in the hands of Big Finish writers, it'll be better than how Chibnall wrote it. Probably. But it kind of, there's only so much they can do before it becomes fan fiction. And Big Finish, for all its faults, is not AO3. So let's see. So the specific thing Gill says, their relationship and the development of that relationship definitely continues. It's not heavy. It's not the forefront of all their storylines, which I quite like because that's not what it was on the TV show. It's slow and they're not quite sure what it is. They being the characters, right? Not the writers.
Yeah.
She says, and like you saw when she was in the latest series, we don't know if it can head that way. So it's quite nice because it is in there and there are references to it, but it's not at the forefront. And I think what's happening, and rightly so, is that Yaz is trying to figure it out because she doesn't know herself that she was into the Doctor and she doesn't know what those feelings were. So she's just trying to understand it. So, and then the rest is kind of along those lines. I mean, I would like to see more of Yaz's thought process because I think Yaz is a character who you can't always like just tell what she's thinking. So I would like to see more of her kind of like grappling with that on her own or kind of like talking to Professor what's his name, the one that everyone keeps forgetting about, and I forgot his name. Something like that, talking with a character who they're never going to talk about this again, but like so that Yaz has someone to bounce off of to express ideas that maybe she couldn't have expressed on the show because her main conversation partner was the Doctor.
Right. I guess the benefit now is that this 13th Doctor stuff is purely 13 and Yaz. So Yaz will have more to do and get more spotlight by virtue of being the only companion in this. And like I think
just like I don't think that would apply to like the romantic interest because again, she's not going to say that stuff to the Doctor.
Yeah.
But in terms of her characterization in general, yes.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that too.
Of course, it is funny because initially I was like,
if you look at like Mel or Perry, they're so much more beloved from Big Finish than from the actual on screen.
Yeah, it is funny because like initially I remember thinking, where would this slot in? But I think even during the Chibnall era, there are gaps where they talk about like there are episodes where they talk about stories that never happened on screen. And between you could easily fit this generally between when these stories, if it is only these two, between when Ryan and Graham leave the TARDIS and before Flux, because that's when we get Dan.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And it's time travel, so they could slot as many stories as they want in there realistically.
Right. Moving from there, so that's the end of our Doctor Who related news. We also have some news, and this we've talked a little bit about directors who would you know leave things to other people on their team. This one is a good example of an editor who kind of made the movie. We have Marcia Lucas. I'm assuming spouse, although possibly ex-spouse. You never know with.
Yeah, ex-spouse. It was
Yeah.
his first
Oh, there
wife.
we go. Yep,
They did.
ex-wife of George
Yeah,
Lucas until
1983.
yeah,
1983.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as soon as Star Wars ended, okay.
Pretty much.
But she was, the editor who is kind of attributed with making Star Wars the movie that it was compared to the original cut that they still won't allow the public to see, which was apparently not very good. She edited the actual theatrical version that became famous. But the reason we're talking about her is she has died at the age of 80. Um, let's see. Haven't read. Oh, there we go. From metastatic cancer. So it does suck that it's due to cancer.
Hmm.
Mm.
Um, she also edited Lucas's earlier films prior to Star Wars.
American Graffiti.
Yep, and THX
THX.
1138,
Hmm.
as well as doing a bunch of editing work for Martin Scorsese. Uh, she is survived by her daughters, Amanda Lucas and Amy Soper, and grandchildren. I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Felix Halikainen, Alayana Halikainen, and Knox Soper. I have a feeling I pronounced all of those words wrong except for Felix and Knox, but I did not look them up.
Mm. Yeah, like
Uh,
the main thing I know Marsha Lucas for is that she was very um on George's ass to be like, she was the one main influence that would tell him something was bad, or that like would be brutally honest and be like, no, that is crap. Like, you've got to come up with something better than that or whatever. And like, she would be honest with him, and she would the whole thing that people joke about is like, with the prequels he basically was surrounded by yes men. With the original trilogy he had Marsha there to be like, do like, especially for A New Hope, I would assume, given she was the editor for it, would be like, no, that's crap, don't do that. And apparently, like, I think it was in that article from The Guardian. I think it was The Guardian, I forget off the top of my head. She apparently had the idea of Obi-Wan becoming like a sort of spirit guide for
hmm.
Luke. So it's kind of because of her, arguably because of her, that we have Force ghosts.
I know for a fact we also had people like Harrison Ford saying, "You can write this crap, but you
Right,
can't
yeah.
read it. Nobody talks like this."
Yeah.
Uh, which was
um
where you would get pretty good ideas like, okay, I'm gonna, just come on set for a while and ad lib or rehearse, and then we're going to
mm,
film. And then after they, ad libbed or rehearsed for a while, he said, okay, great, we've got our footage, let's move on. Wait, what do you mean?
mm.
Yeah, we were rolling the whole time.
Right, yeah, because his directing style on A New Hope was very much go, just act, because he's
Mm.
not really an actor's director.
Hmm.
So that brings us on to Geek Talk. So Alex is going to
Yes.
talk about
Mhm.
Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah. I was going to say,
Um,
speaking of Star Wars related
yeah,
stuff.
we've got some good segues this time too. I botched that, I guess. I almost said
Mm.
series 3 also because we're Doctor Who brained right now.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
everyone except me has seen The Mandalorian and Grogu. And
Mm.
I'm assuming we can talk. Well, can Aaron talk about it without spoilers? Is this a
I will do my best. I will do my best.
um, that said, I've been talking for a while and I need to refill my beverages, but I've watched Mando season 3 anyway, so
Mhm.
Mm.
have at it.
Yeah. For me, Mandalorian season 3, like season 2, while it wasn't bad,
Mhm.
the injection of like characters that basically are only in it to be backdoor pilots for their shows, like
Yeah.
Boba Fett and Ahsoka, that kind of was like and Luke
Kind of the
Skywalker
filler
being in
comedy
season
stuff.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Luke Skywalker being in season 2 was very like, because like I like this show when it's trying to be its own thing,
Mhm.
and I got more of that out of season 3. Like
Okay.
I was kind of dreading it because of one specific episode.
Mhm.
um the episode with Jack Black and Lizzo.
I forgot about that one.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be going in, but it still has like just a throwaway line in it that kind of undermines the whole thing and
Mhm.
actively annoys me. It doesn't like I don't hate the episode.
Mhm.
It's just and the weird thing is like it's such a side. It feels like that whole plot revolving around them feels like an entire side tangent because it never
Yeah.
goes anywhere. It's not actually really making. It's like surface level commentary at best. I
Yeah.
saw someone try to be like, "Oh, it's the most George Lucas thing," and whatever. No, it's not. If it
It's
was, then it
goofy,
would
I
have gone
guess.
like in that sense. But like, it would have actually had commentary because like say what you will about George Lucas, he basically predicted the situation the US is in right now
Yeah.
with the
Oh,
prequels. So
what was the throwaway line that you said kind of derailed everything? Just to keep us from
I like
guessing, anyway.
yeah, when they figure out like what's going on and like the guy who's behind it is starting to do his like sort of villain speech for lack of a better term, he gets immediately zapped and the woman with Mando just kind of shrugs and goes, "Politics." I'm like,
Mhm.
this is fucking Star Wars, people. That is the most like what? Like that it's like that just that one shrug. Politics is like, are you fucking kidding me? In this
Mhm.
franchise of all things,
Yeah,
you're gonna
some people
have
still
someone
think
go,
Star Wars is about nothing but flashing lights and swords.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's why it bugs me because it feels like the episode up to that point then now becomes, oh, is this just shitting on the prequels?
Mhm.
Because that's what it kind of ends up feeling like. I'm not saying that's what Jon Favreau was doing when he and whoever wrote this, but it's just like, what the fuck was the point? Because effectively, like nothing in that comes back. Maybe it'll come back later,
Mhm. I can see
but
it more
like
in Skeleton
the
Crew or
last
something.
yeah, like the last 10 minutes are the actual important bit in terms of the overall plot of the season. So it's like, what the hell?
Which
Um,
episode are you talking about?
the one with Jack Black and Lizzo in it,
Gotcha.
with like the guy who turns out to be a separatist,
Hmm.
played by Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, it's like most of like I'm thinking like, oh, okay, there could be interesting commentary here because we're going for the Jetsons where everyone's basically just making robots do everything and are lazy as hell.
Mhm.
But then they like, or like, oh, well, the droids like working here because at least it gives them something to do rather than just being ground up and turned into whatever else. Like, that's something, but like they never actually do anything with it. There's like setup, but never any payoff
Yeah.
for the commentary. Like, effectively, yeah, because you've got like arguably sort of some, you could do something with that, but they just don't. And yeah, like, but otherwise, very solid season. Not really much more I can think to say, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next, given that apparently there will be, well, I say will be. Jon Favreau has apparently said that he already has either completed scripts or like drafts of scripts done
Hmm.
for a season 4. But the movie kind of got in the way, as well as the writer's strike. Sort of a thing that happened, or the actor/writer strike thing that happened. And then the movie happened. Sorry.
Right, because wasn't
They'll
the
probably
movie
have
a
to tweak
result of
those.
them trying to write season 4 and then it just didn't? They could only knock out
Uh,
so much.
nah, by the sounds of it, he took elements of what was going to be in season 4 and worked them into the movie. But it sounds like he was apparently in an interview he's flat out stated publicly that he doesn't know why they're doing it as a movie. So that to me
Oh,
says higher up said we want to do that. But pure Disney. If like it would not shock me to learn if we find out years later that they basically gave him the same ultimatum that they gave to Pixar with Toy Story, where they were like with I think it was Toy Story 3. They were said, "We'll do it with or without you."
I
And
mean,
so Jon
Disney
Favreau's
has made a
gone.
lot of like decisions that even confuse the creators. Like,
Yeah.
I forget if it was Falcon and Winter Soldier or like one at least. Oh no, Hawkeye. I think they were really confused why they made it into a show instead of a movie.
Mm.
Um, and I think there was another one of those like that where like they were like we don't know why. Or I mean, there were a few where they
Yeah.
were just like Disney wanted us to make a bunch of shows, so we made
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
instead of movies, and the
Yeah. Like
audience were
the
just sitting there like, "What the fuck?"
yeah, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing was originally going to be a standalone movie,
Oh yeah, because
and then
wasn't Lando
by this
supposed to get his own movie too?
possibly by the sounds of it, it was a matter of when Solo bombed, they got spooked, and the Kenobi show happened instead.
Ah.
Because they probably figured, well, it's a lot more of a niche audience, so whatever, we'll just do a show instead. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Like, apparently, it's not doing too well. Mind you, it only came out like what last week. I think it generally hasn't been out that long, but apparently the returns so far are not super encouraging.
Yeah, they were predicting it
But
was going to be like the
apparently,
lowest one, so.
right, yeah, they were apparently at least not expecting it to make like the kind of money that the sequel trilogy movies made, where they all made, while they made progressively less money, they all still cracked over $1 billion at the box office. So not literally made that much, but that was at least the money that they got in through the box office. But so they're not expecting it to do that well. But my guess is if this flops, like my two things are if the movie does well, which we'll get into in a minute. But if the movie does well, Disney might push Favreau to just do movies now instead of shows, instead of the Mandalorian show continuing. And if it flops, they'll be like, okay, fine, just go back to doing shows. It was like, just go back to like working on season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I saw the movie announced, I was like, "Oh, okay. They have a bunch of New Republic characters in this movie." I found out through Galaxy of Heroes. Apparently, Grogu is working for the Republic now.
Mhm.
And I'm not. That's
well,
not even a movie spoiler because I have no idea the
right,
context
yeah.
of that.
Season
But
season 3, season 3 at
that
the
made
end.
me think that this was the Thrawn movie. That it's Mando versus Thrawn or something like that.
Seemingly, that's where the TV shows are leading to, like Mando and Ahsoka are
Yeah,
leading to
that's what I
like
thought. Maybe the movie was going to be like the TV shows meeting each other.
yeah. But
Yeah.
by the sound, from what I can remember, having watched season 3 like this week in one day, it's like in the final episode, Mando and Grogu, like Mando officially adopts Grogu as his son, and that allows uh Grogu to become his apprentice, which that's a specific word they use in the like Mandalorian sense. Um because like the whole thing is like, oh, he's not able to take the oath or whatever because he can't talk yet. But if he's now his adopted dad, he can just take him on as an apprentice regardless. So they leave Mandalore and they go to that recurring dude who shows up, who's like an X-wing pilot and works for the New Republic.
Mhm.
Um,
Which I never knew his name.
and
Apparently, I think his name is Carson.
Hmm.
I think so, yeah. Like he goes to him and is like, I need jobs. I'll work for you guys on a case by case basis. Like I will be effectively he offers to be an independent contractor for the New Republic. Like I'm not going to work for you like full on, but I'll take jobs here and there on a case by case basis kind of thing. And that plays into the movie. Which I guess, speaking of which, we might as well move on to that.
Okay.
Uh it's interesting because the movie it's funny because like I binged all of season 3 in a day because I was like, shit, I should probably do this before seeing the movie. And then I see the movie and I'm like, I probably didn't need to. Because apparently it even turns out that Jon Favreau's approach was trying to make the movie accessible
Yeah.
for people who haven't watched the show. So, which, to be fair, he might as well not have, because it feels like a lot of people are going to be put off from watching it because it's based on the show. Like it would not shock me if if that did not get pushed hard enough in the lead up to be like, you don't need to. We've actively made it so you don't really need context for anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it honestly feels like if I hadn't watched the show at all, I probably still would have been able to follow the movie. There's very specific elements like the fact that he's willing to take jobs from the New Republic directly in this independent contractor thing. Like I wouldn't have had context for that. I wouldn't have had context for him having his own little house on that planet. That I forget his name, the actor who died this year. Who was on The Mandalorian as a recurring character.
Carl something?
Hmm.
I know
But
there
yeah,
was the
like
one from Ahsoka that. Oh, that wasn't this year though.
I think it was this year that he
Was
died.
was he the lead of the guild or something and then becomes a governor?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was, I don't think that was this year, but yeah.
Oh yeah, like generally after season 3 was done, given that he's in the whole thing.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah,
Oh wow,
Carl
he died in
Weathers.
Carl Weathers,
2024.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, yeah. So he died a year after this aired. I was like after season
Which
3
that
animation.
ties into the whole like nobody knows what the fuck Disney is doing with their decision making.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Right.
if it was a year after it aired 3 years ago, and then they're just doing the movie now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
well,
and the movie is
like
yeah.
from what I can recall, it was a matter of like the strikes happened, so that like pushed things back, and then they decided, screw it, you're doing a movie. So then he had to start doing that.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Fair,
apparently
I
he
don't
basically.
I don't excuse studios for the strikes because they're the
Oh
ones that
yeah,
caused
no.
the strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm just saying, like, Jon Favreau himself seemingly has said that, like, well, I had scripts ready to,
Mhm.
like, mostly ready to go, and then the strikes happened, so that pushed things back a bit. Like, not in a, from what I can recall, not in a way that sounded like he was blaming them or anything. Just like,
Yeah,
well, there's been these, there's a reason we haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
like that was a decision that
Sorta.
Disney and the other studios made.
Right.
So it ties into fucked up decision making on Disney's part.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I liked the movie. I've seen a lot of people being very, this is the movie of all time, like in the
Mm-hmm.
sort of that joking kind of, yep, this is a movie that came out in May of 2026. And I'm like, I feel like that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Like, I put it this way, I got what I wanted out of this movie. It is basically a movie length episode of the show,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if it had tried to not be that, I feel like people would be pissed off that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because again, especially if the idea is they were not going to give this a, like, God, let's see. They probably weren't going to give this a Rogue One budget.
Yeah.
Because that had 200 million. This had like 100 million less, I think. Actually, no, I don't even think this had 100 million. It was like a 90 million budget, which is still nothing to sneeze at. But, you know, compared to the other Disney
I guess
era Star Wars movies.
it depends on how much was physical. I mean, it sounds like they didn't do shit physical and everything was digital
No,
in the
it's
shows. But
they had a really good small puppet work going on that reminded me of
Oh, yeah.
the old Jim Henson style of doing things. Especially with
Mm.
Grogu and like the little mechanics. I can't remember the name of the species they are in the
Yeah, the
Mando
ones
universe.
the ones that
they were new, right? I don't think they're from the show.
They are
Unless
from
I'm
the
mistaken.
show.
yeah,
They're
they
from
were
the show.
They
well
are?
they were from
They were from season
there's
3 of the
yeah, there
show.
was I will say they didn't debut in the show. That they are based on that one little dude who shows up in The Rise of Skywalker that they
Oh.
go to get C3PO's memory
Okay.
thing to get the like this the location of the Sith
Yeah.
Mhm.
I keep
thing they
forgetting that
did.
movie exists. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like I hate that. I hate that movie with a burning passion. So I remember it exists, but I do remember that that's where, because like when I first saw them in season 3, I was like, I remember that.
Mhm.
I forget the character's name, but
Yeah,
like they're those aliens.
yeah, there's a whole
So
sequence where those aliens are like aliens and Grogu. I'm gonna spoil some stuff. They go off on their own little adventure and stuff, and it's actually very well filmed and everything. So, and
yeah,
there's actually seems to be a fair amount of physical props and everything.
Oh, were they the ones that
Mm.
converted IG-11 into IG-12 in season 3? Was that them?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I could see how those puppets could be reused. Okay,
Yeah, that
yeah,
and
yeah.
but I was
Grogu.
gonna say
It'd
like
be
if
a mess.
so my whole point was I could see the budget not being huge if
Mhm.
there's actually
Mm.
physical props left over from the
Yeah.
show to use.
Yeah, there
Whereas if
seemed
they
to be a
did
Right,
bit.
yeah.
everything fucking by green screen, then maybe the movie needs more budget.
I mean, they
Right.
definitely
Like,
use the volume. They use the volume.
mm,
There's also a lot of like, mechanical stuff. There's new music too, including like a
mm,
cyberpunk sounding soundtrack for when they're in the middle of the city
mm.
that's surrounded by neon and everything like that. So, I like the movie because to bring out the old chestnut, it subverted expectations, but it did so in a very what I was satisfied with, in a way that I felt very satisfied with. Like you expect one thing, and then it winds up being another. I'm like, oh, well, that's a pleasant surprise, that type of deal. So, trying not to spoil too much here, but it does have to deal with the huts and like bounty hunting as usual. So,
Yeah. And specifically, as far as I'm aware, I think it's characters from the Clone Wars
yeah,
animated show,
yeah, it's one.
like
It's a character that
the
shows up.
twins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
And
I
and
think the
the
twins are
son.
from that, and also and also Rodder the Hutt, the
Mm-hmm.
son of Jabba,
Oh yeah, Rod the
is
Hutt
there.
is. It's funny him being mentioned because we were just talking about how I think Aaron didn't see the movie that he was introduced in, which I have the plush of him from that movie.
To be honest, I completely forgot. Like until they the twins show him like here's the last known sort of image we have of him, and it's like a baby hut. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Because like I think I've probably seen like screenshots or something. Because I haven't seen like it's been so long that I completely forgot that Rodder the Hut was a character since I've watched that like the sort
Oh
of
come on,
pilot
it's less than
movie for
20
that.
years old.
No, I mean like I watched it more recently for the first time, but it's like I've only seen it the once and I don't know much about the huts really, so I completely forgot. um but yeah, I will say, the budget is what it is when there was at least one or two scenes, both in this and to be quite honest, season 3, where I was like, "Ooh, that's an obvious green screen."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um it was like it wasn't like it didn't like completely take me out of the movie or the show, but it was like, ooh,
Was it a green
that
screen or
was
was it
well
the
integrated.
volume?
I don't think it was the volume. The volume to me is never as noticeable. The
Okay.
volume is usually like,
Oh, that's the
oh,
name of the thing where they use a projector.
Yeah, where they have the
yeah,
giant
that's
LCD
a
screens in
the
the
sort of
background,
yeah
or to form the background, I should say.
where where it's like
Oh, it's
showing
LCD. I thought they used
dynamic.
maybe the projector is something else. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm. But yeah, like the stuff with the volume was fine, but there were a few bits where I'm like, okay, this looks like they just used a green screen instead of the volume, and it's very obvious.
What did you think
Like,
of the comedy, Alex?
um, I mean, I liked it. Like, it fit the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there are bits where it's like it's mostly just there for levity because of how serious at points the story gets. And hell, the fucking movie basically opens with a James Bond cold open
Mm-hmm.
style thing, which I'm like, okay, not necessarily what I was expecting, but it definitely fits this character.
There's one scene in
Like he's
particular
not,
that I was laughing at so hard.
yeah, like he's not even like, and I say like James Bond cold open, he wasn't like quippy necessarily, but like a very opening on an action scene because we're gonna have a bunch of talking once before like for a bit. Um so that was generally fun. And I forget if it did actually play in to the overall thing, but either way. Um yeah, generally I like this movie. We'll see where it goes in terms of season 4 cuz by the sounds of it now season 4 is potentially up in the air. Um in terms of like they're like, well, yeah, he's done scripts for it, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen.
Yeah.
But I almost assume that's a matter of if this movie like either flops or underperforms even by the lowered standards they had, they're going to be like, yeah, just go back to doing the show. But either way, I still think it's worth seeing. Like if you can't afford to see it in the cinemas, yeah, just wait for it to be on Disney Plus and whatever. But I had a cheaper ticket to use in the sort of, hey, we realized you haven't been to the cinemas in forever. Like, here's a discounted ticket. So I was like, oh sweet, I'll use that. Um but yeah, I would, if people like The Mandalorian, honestly, even if people like haven't seen The Mandalorian, I still say it's worth seeing. I still think May, I get it. Star Wars has history with the month of May. Still feels like a bad time to have released it, but whatever. I mean, it's getting smashed in the box office by a movie about a 4chan shitpost, which I didn't even
That
realize
reminds
that's
me
what the Backrooms was.
I've heard a lot of people saying that the movie, or I don't know if it was a lot, but it was probably a vocal minority, saying that it was a really boring movie and that it was the best movie to fall asleep to. How do you feel about that? Do you agree to any extent?
That Mando was?
Like the
Yeah.
Huh.
no, but
Yeah.
also again, I think it's because my expectations were basically a movie length episode of the show. That's what I got. Whereas some people might have been assuming this was going to be, oh, we're going to ramp it up because it's a movie. And it's like,
That's
no.
what I would have thought. Like, there has to be a reason it's a movie, right?
I mean, there's
Yeah.
like 3 jump scares in there. 3 towards middle to end. Yeah, there's some decent jump scares.
Yeah, but like to me, it's like it says it's, you know, you get what it is what it says on the tin, basically. Like it is a movie. It is, again, it's a movie length episode of the show, and that didn't particularly bother me. I can see why that would bother other people, but at least for me, I was like, it's not like the best thing Star Wars has ever made by any stretch, but I would still put it, if I'm quite honest, and honestly, this is because I'm not high on the movie anyway. I would say this is better than Rogue One. I would generally, by that stretch, I would say it is the best standalone, like
Yeah.
non-trilogy movie to have come out in the Disney era.
I liked it better than
Um,
really kind of any of the other movies except for The Force Awakens. Like, I liked it better than than Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and I liked it better than, maybe Rogue One may have been slightly better than it, but like, it was definitely better than Solo.
Which non-trilogy movie from before the Disney era is better than it?
I mean, there's only really one if you don't count the
There's the
Ewok
2 Ewok
movies, I guess.
movies, there's Clone Wars, and if you want to
Yeah.
count them, there's the TV movies that are basically TV movie that's basically a 2-part episode of the Droids cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Which I still have not watched that, but I keep meaning to.
I haven't seen the Ewok movies still, but I might at some point because they're on Disney Plus
I
now.
grew up with the Ewok movies. The Droid cartoon series, I tried watching it as an adult, and I was falling asleep to it. It was so boring.
Yeah, same. I bought a DVD of it, and it didn't keep my attention long enough to get to to get through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did grow up with they were like you know how like for kids they would have these like they're picture books, but they would also have like a cassette tape that was reading it to you because they were for kids too young to read.
Yeah.
I had those for the Ewok for the Ewok cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
but I don't remember any of the plots. Um, that said, we should probably move on
Right,
to,
yeah.
I guess,
Welcome
review
to
of
our
Shame.
Star Wars podcast.
Right? I have not been using the timer today, in part because we had long banter because I haven't been here.
Oh yeah, we
Um,
still have to get through your review of Shame. Goddamn.
yes. So review of Shame, The Middlemen. I'm gonna just kind of cut the trimming. I like that there was a lot of action serving the plot. It really felt like a two-parter with the previous episode, which really kind of bolstered it, as if the categories of life and the middlemen were, just telling the start and end of one story. Um, the director of the camp felt slimy and uncomfortable, and uh, I don't know if real psychopaths act like that, but the way he was just like talking to himself as if Rex wasn't there and then tried to casually stab Rex with a pen was just off putting. Also, the ways they were trying to make like a strangulation scene seem like it had major stakes in Miracle Day was just kind of weird and didn't really fit. Like, it's a strangulation scene when nobody can die, okay?
Yeah.
My favorite scene was Gwen's "Don't call yourself a doctor" speech because it really felt like something I could picture the doctor saying.
Mm.
Um, Overall, my rating was a 4.5 out of 5. Pretty solid episode. Which I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the last podcast, but I did see that your ratings matched that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How quickly can you make the summary?
We'll see. But I do have a pre-written one, so I'm not ad-libbing, thankfully.
Yeah. I
I guess I
haven't.
should
I
take
don't
a
have a
stopwatch.
stopwatch up. Do you want me to? I don't
I,
have it on screen, but
I've got a stopwatch ready.
okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
We open in 1927 on Jack stopping an Italian man named Angelo Colasanto, who stole his papers, ultimately helping him out and moving into a room with him in New York City, with Angelo turning out to be gay. That Jack could tell. Keeping with this plot thread, Jack brings Angelo along to something he's trying to do, to some bootlegging thingy, which gets the two captured by goons for a bootlegger named Salvatore Maranzano, and who releases them when Jack agrees for him and Angelo to work for Maranzano. After trying to push Angelo away, the two go to the warehouse they were told to go to, which turns out to have alien parasites of some kind that Jack has to kill because of what they're intended to be used for, which would change history. In escaping the warehouse, Jack is shot dead, with us skipping to a year later with Angelo, who was captured, getting out of prison to find Jack is alive somehow, later killing Jack when they get back to the apartment. Assuming he's a devil that seduced him and revealing the phenomenon to other people in the building, with Jack ultimately being tortured and repeatedly killed over and over again, with some people even taking vials of his blood, assuming him to be a blessing. After three men agree to buy Jack, Angelo's guilt finally gets the better of him, and he frees Jack, assuming the two will run off together, although Jack declines and throws himself off a building to die again, but revives and runs off before Angelo can get down to the street. Back in modern day, while all these flashbacks have been happening, Gwen has kidnapped Jack due to the people behind the titular Miracle Day having taken her family hostage, seemingly. Or at least seemingly the people behind this have taken her family hostage. In the last episode, with Gwen venting about how little she actually knows Jack and being willing to let him die to get her family back, which Jack responds by saying that he would kill her to stay alive if need be. The two finally get to the drop-off location Gwen had to bring him to. It turns out that Esther and Rex had found out what was going on pretty much as soon as they left. Saving the two and having coordinated with Gwen's buddy Andy back in Wales to save Gwen's family at the same time. Ultimately, the woman who showed up to collect Jack convinces them to spare her from becoming a Category 1. And that Jack might still want to go along with them because they can take him to the person who knows how this all started, who turns out to be Angelo, apparently still alive 98 years after Jack last saw him, as far as we can tell. The end.
I stopped it before you said the end, but I've got 3 minutes and 8.4 seconds.
Yeah, figured it was easier to just like stick with one plot and then stick with the mod, because the modern plot is really just they're driving in a car.
Although I don't think it's been 98 years. Because
I might have got the math wrong, but
I think I think this year, unless I misremembered, I think this year
yeah.
was 98
In
years.
hindsight, yeah, I was probably going by modern day, not 2011. So my bad on that. Yeah. Like just absent-mindedly was like, oh yeah, this year. It's like, oh no.
Like you were doing the birthdays.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sorry, 83 years. My bad.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go over every historical mention because we've been streaming for a while. But I will say all the historical facts that I checked were correct. Unless anybody has any historical fact check comments they want to make. There were some things I did have to double check, but it seemed like they got everything right.
I guess it probably helps that this was being made in like 2010, 2011 and was a co-production with the US, so any US stuff was probably a lot easier to get the facts right on.
You'd
like the
think
6
that, but immigration
like,
law is still a thing people don't understand.
Right. I guess I get like, compared to something like the Gunfighters, which we ragged on for like being based
fair.
more on movies because it was the 60s, so they might not have had access to actual historical sources.
Let me flip a coin real quick. I forgot to do that. So Alex is first. What did you like about this story?
I guess I'll just say the 1927-28 plot. Because like at first I was like, in a weird way, I'm surprised it took me so long to realize. But at first I was like, where is this going? Like it's nice, but it was like, where is this going? And then like after a while, after cutting back and forth between, I'm like, oh, this Angelo dude's gonna come back somehow.
Yeah.
But it was nice because it's like, okay, we're actually showing this rather than having like an exposition dump.
Right.
Of who this guy is. Because like even seemingly, I think it sounds like by the time they've got to the drop-off location, Jack is probably told, if not the whole thing, like some of the flashback plot to Gwen. I could be remembering
really?
wrong.
I thought. I mean, I got the impression more that they were like dreams he had when he was knocked out. And
yeah. But I guess I mean like off screen. It sounds like he might have communicated some of those memories he was experiencing to her. I could be like, again, that could be me reading too much into it, but there was like a particular quote that, to be fair, I can't remember, where it seemed to imply that they had at least been talking about some stuff between the last time we see them and then them being at the drop-off point.
Aaron, is that the impression you got?
I didn't get the idea that he was like telling Gwen about anything about Angelo, and that he was just kind of maybe thinking about it, because I don't know. I don't know if their dialogue in the car really hinted that he had told her anything about that stuff.
Oh, again, I mean, like after they're already out of the car
Oh.
in the
Hmm.
final
Oh.
scene.
Oh. Hmm. I never even thought of
Like
that
again,
actually, but
yeah. Like again,
Yeah,
I
I
could
didn't think
be,
there was
I
enough
could
of a
be,
time
yeah,
gap
like
there.
yeah, like again, I could be just interpreting certain dialogue wrong,
Hmm.
or maybe like it was just Jack talking to himself in like reflection when they're out of the car.
Maybe.
But yeah,
Like, I definitely got the impression Jack was actively remembering those memories, that he was
yeah.
experiencing flashbacks, but I didn't think he
Mm.
communicated any of that to Gwen. At least not by my understanding.
Mm.
we might find out next episode when she's like, why
True.
didn't you tell
True.
me anything about this guy? Or
Yeah.
Right,
is
yeah.
this the guy
That'll
you
be
were telling me
that'll be
about?
the way to tell, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aaron, what did you like about this episode?
I'm kind of torn between the two, but I will kind of point out, just because it's a little bit more edgier, I did enjoy the intimacy scenes between Jack and Angelo, especially afterwards when Jack is just being kind of flippant and everything, and he makes a comment about Angelo's teacher, and Angelo takes it like really, takes it to heart, takes it really serious, and like, what are you talking about? Like, I would never, do anything like that with my teacher, so. And then
Mm.
Jack is stuck trying to, apologize to him, and he's like, well, yeah, I guess I don't take that kind of stuff seriously, because of course he's what, 25th century human, like basically runs around breeding and everything like that with anything that can move.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
just his time frame. I think his lifestyle and his
Yeah,
experiences
yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
caused him to cheapen human experience sometimes, or to
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
always need to kind of like have this
Be
protective
quippy, yeah.
barrier around himself. Like, it's not that our connection is special. It's
Mm-hmm.
some other some quip.
We can almost kind of see that
Yeah.
kind of filtering into how he kind of sees life, because or maybe it's not cheapening life, it's cheapening death, like, because he shows up in
Mm.
front of Angelo and expects Angelo just be all hunky-dory with it, knowing that he's a very
Yeah.
strong Catholic about that kind of stuff, and that he's probably got some very
Right.
stringent beliefs, especially in the 1920s, and especially as
Well,
an
yeah.
immigrant,
Yeah.
you
I think that's also part of it, is just like he's so out of time as a person
mm-hmm.
that he's like, if it had been like him asking that of like someone in modern day, they might have had a similar-ish reaction depending on the person, but like they might have taken it as the like kind of joking thing that it was.
Yeah.
Whereas asking that of someone in the 20s, yeah, is you probably are more likely to be like, what the hell? Why would you
He's
say
a
that?
witch. Burn him. I mean, yeah, so yeah, and then just well, and I can get into other stuff that I don't like about the relationship after Jack comes back, but like, I don't know, I thought it was very well done, kind of. And
Mm,
like, Angelo is done, his actor is done as a very kind of down to earth person. He's not like the super like
mm,
extraordinarily handsome man, and that I'm sure his actor is very handsome and that, but he's the way that he's kind of costumed and stuff, it shows that he's kind of, from a poor kind of working class environment and such. Like, I kept noticing that he had like that one spot in his eye that was kind of bloodshot and stuff. So I thought that was, I don't know if
yeah.
that was done on purpose or not, but it
Yeah,
was
it's
actually,
like,
it was kind of interesting. I'm like,
yeah,
usually,
they bring it up as like uh character was his character was born with it.
oh, okay.
I don't know if it's a matter of like, oh no, yeah, that is definitely a character thing. The actor does not legit
I was just trying to
have
look
that.
that up. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Is there something wrong with this dude's eye? No, it's just I thought it was very kind of his appearance in the show was very unique and like they could have made it like kind of incredibly what is it like one of my other friends mentioned like they were not into the whole metrosexual thing. I was like they could have had him like be all cleaned up and be like this prince escaping from this country or something like that and have Jack
Yeah.
run into him, but they chose to go with like a more like I said down to earth type of character that
Mm.
and I don't really hate Angelo. Like, I don't really like him for what he does, but, like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
I thought their relationship was very kind of interesting.
Mm.
Okay. So I guess mine was a little more big picture in that I just really liked that we were finally digging into the answers to some of these questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Mm.
cause of the miracle? Um, I think the three families had been mentioned before, and we're not quite getting an answer, but we're getting a hint as to what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
I liked that we were starting to get some of this information rather than just kind of reacting to what was happening without really any understanding of what's going on. Now, that's not to say that we know what's going on yet, but we're clearly moving in the direction of finding useful information and not just new questions.
Yeah. I will say additionally, it's also nice that they actually got an Italian actor for that. Apparently this actor
Oh,
was legit born
Ah,
in Italy.
cool.
I guess it's a matter of just living in the US, but yeah, rather than just getting someone who may have had Italian descent but like
mhm.
was just putting on an accent to sound like an immigrant. Like no, it
Mm-hmm.
was like someone who's legitimately from Italy.
Cool.
All right. Alex, what did you dislike about this episode?
Um hmm.
Oh, we didn't
I
fill
don't
out the
know if
good
I have
guys.
anything.
Our good board has remained
Oh,
empty.
yeah. I was too busy. I was
Oh
too
well.
engrossed in the conversation.
um oh, do I have a least favorite overall? Um Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to pass because I can't really think of anything, even anything nitpicky. At least nothing's jumping out at me, even having watched this twice.
Okay.
Um,
So if you think of anything in the process, of course, we can always go back to you.
yeah.
Aaron, what did you dislike about this episode?
I kind of disliked how it was a little slower moving. There wasn't quite as much tension after like we had so many episodes filled with action and stuff, people running around, all this subterfuge, and now we've got Gwen kind of stuck in a car with with Jack, and then we do have like a flashback of like a chase scene and like their kind of Jack's antics as kind of as a bootlegger and stuff, but like it wasn't like over the top intense
Hmm.
like it has been in the past like few episodes. So I guess for
Mm,
me it just was I don't know, I guess a little bit boring. Like the relationship was kind of interesting to watch, and then we did get some information in that, and they do like mention like the Tricksters Brigade from Sarah Jane Adventures and stuff, the Trickster who's part of the Pantheon of
mm,
Discord apparently. And that's they also mentioned Trickster's Brigade and Turn Left with the 10th Doctor and Donna. So
Yep.
mm,
I had to look that up. I'm like, this is just kind of it's a throwaway reference and stuff. So kind of
yeah.
one of those if you know you know type things. So, but yeah,
Mm.
I just felt like it was a little bit slower going, and I was just like, this is kind of a little bit boring. So,
That's
So I'm going to
fair.
kind
I
of
mean,
add on to that partially, and that is, it kind of felt, it really almost felt like a lot of the Gwen and Jack stuff was just kind of padding. Like, we can't actually introduce modern day Angelo until we're done with all the flashbacks. So we're just going to pad this out with just kind of like dialogue that's not going to go anywhere.
mhm,
And
mm,
in part, that is, if this happened maybe in series 1 or 2, the bluster between Gwen and Jack, like maybe it would have some stakes. You'd be like, oh wow, one of them might betray each other. It's
Mm.
series 4. It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's just here maybe to feel a little bit edgy, maybe just padding, but it's not actually. We know it's not going to go anywhere. It's just there to kind
Yeah.
of just pad out the episode until Angelo can show up.
Yeah. Like, I guess to that end, if I had to go with something, it's the fact that, like, Gwen's bluster is all basically for show. In the end, like, the fact that they make up after it's, like, clear that they're like, they dodged the situation and her family's safe, so they just immediately reconcile. It's like, that kind of bugs me. Because, like, it's sort of like how, like, the end of Children of Earth, Gwen is still, like, acting as if, like, Jack didn't do anything wrong. I guess to that extent, I was expecting, like, more anger from her. Because, like, the ending of Children of Earth pissed me off so much that she was, like, basically excusing his behavior up till then. And, like, I don't think she knew about the child killing thing that he did, but also, like, or she was willing to excuse it because it's Jack, but it's still just kind of like, come on. Like, they need, like, Gwen deserves better than that. To, like, this is basically her, like, I guess it's still nice that she gets to vent at him, but it's like the fact that she immediately walks back everything she said is like, come on.
Mhm.
If it was just like there's now an underlying, like, tension there, that would be a lot better, I feel.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Torchwood has been failing to evolve the relationship between Gwen and
Yeah.
Jack for 3.5 seasons at this point. I
Yeah.
didn't expect any changes now.
Right.
All right, Alex, what's your favorite scene?
Um let's see. I guess, like, it's ultimately, in the grand scheme, it's fairly minor, but, like, I guess just as a queer person, I appreciated it. The, like, intimacy after the fact, where Jack's like, "You've never done this before?" And he's like, "That, yes. This, no." Of, like, just cuddling,
Okay.
effectively.
Mhm.
Because, like, even Torchwood itself, this is not something that's displayed that often. Like, the intimacy, like,
I'm gonna have to
in
turn safe search off to even try to get photos of that. And then
pretty much.
All of a
and then
sudden,
I'll
the
still have to
Yeah.
make sure it's YouTube safe.
I
yeah.
mean, I guess is that I guess you could just use that one image from that you use for the title card where they're standing at the window
Oh, that was the before, not the after.
instead. Still, it, like, it's the characters that are relevant.
Yeah.
um just to, like, avoid potential
Yeah, this is YouTube safe.
YouTube issues. Yeah. Um uh but yeah, like, it was because, like, in a lot of media you don't really see that. Especially Torchwood, I think this is the first instance of this I can think of where it's like they'll be like, "Ooh, sex scene because this is for adults." And, like,
I mean, I think there
I
might have
mean,
been like comedic pillow talk with Jack and Yanto or something, but
probably, or, like, yeah,
I
like,
think they had a conversation about this was the first man Yanto was attracted to or whatever.
yeah. But yeah, this feels more real, I guess, is my point. It's like this feels like an actual conversation that could happen. like after the fact of like yeah, even the fact that he goes to leave and it's like because that would be the expectation with most people, I guess, that he's been with up to this point is like you just do the deed and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Rather because it's like especially at this period in history. But let's just say from
I
personal
was
experience it
kind of
still happens
expecting
now.
someone to like burst into the door and be like,
Right,
"You
yeah.
said you would sleep on the floor."
Yeah. So yeah, like to that end, the fact that it is allowed to just be that and like they have that conversation is like that was like yeah, like I appreciated that a lot.
All right, Aaron, what was your favorite scene?
I'm on the wrong thingy. Whoop. Best scenes. There we go. Um, Let me bring up my stuff here. Favorite scene? I got a few. I think I like the scene kind of where Gwen is berating Jack in the car. It's like, well, you've done something in that bloody long life of yours. That type of deal. So it's just like just how casually she mentions that. It's just like, wow.
Mhm.
And just kind of calls him out. She weaponizes it basically. Because a lot of people think of, a long life as being something that's cool and awesome and that, but like
Yeah.
we see so often, like she calls it out. She's just like,
Mm.
"Yep, nope. You did something to
Yeah.
like mess with someone along the way." So, I thought it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Okay. On mine, dang, I've been trying to find a photo of it, but I cannot. So I just really like the raw emotion of the scene when Jack gets shot and Angelo sees him and thinks, I mean, I don't not thinks he's dead, sees him die,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
know that he's immortal. He really sells that scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
And
thought
so
it was
the
good
raw
too.
emotion of that was really powerful, but I cannot find a photo of that
Mm.
scene at all.
Like
I can find a
when his
photo of
head
Jack
snaps
like
back.
I can find the photo of Jack like lying in the alleyway, but I can't
Mhm.
find the photo of Angelo at that moment, which is what I really want to
Mm.
find.
Hmm. Yeah, because there's no doubt that when his head snaps back, you see the bullet hole in his head. There's no doubt that
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, and then Jack
Mm.
later on tries to play it off like, "Well, I didn't die. I was just faking it." And he's like, "No, I know what I fucking saw, man."
Mhm.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
say that, but
Yeah.
on to least favorite scenes, Alex.
Hmm. I have one, but I've technically already talked about it, so I'm trying to think if I can think of something else to avoid talking about the same thing again. Um no, I can't really think of anything else, so I'll just go with yeah, the whole like as soon as they realize they're safe, Gwen and Jack hugging and being like, "Oh, that was I was just talking shit, right?" Because it's like, fucking hell. It would be so much more interesting if there was actually some like tension still underlying. And
I
for all
mean,
I
they
know,
did say that they both agreed that they meant everything they said, but they didn't care
mm,
anymore now that the threat was over.
yeah. So it's just like, it's so annoying because it's like, it just feels like a reset. I mean, it's nice to know they meant it, but it's still like I guess I'm still like I just got to bug up my ass about the fact that Gwen still like is so ride or die for Jack
Mhm.
that it's just like fucking hell. This is like Russell. Like, I guess to be fair, this and the last, like Children of Earth and this were both Russell projects, so it makes sense because that's his whole thing. But it's still just like, come on, let Gwen have her own thing to just be like, I'll work with you, but also fuck you.
Mm-hmm. You endangered my child for the last time, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Like if
I
Jack
swear
was
if
your
like
first and
again,
Gwen was
yeah,
RTV.
like yeah, like again, this is like my first time going through this. If we get to the end of this and Gwen doesn't go fuck you, I quit, then I will honestly be kind of pissed. um or at least I mean, it seems like the implication from when Captain Jack comes back in the Chibnall era is that Gwen is seemingly just doing her own thing in the intervening years, but I don't know if that's a matter of she quits Torchwood at the end of this or just like in the interim time between she's left Torchwood. But yeah.
All right, Aaron, least favorite scene.
And now we're on the right slide. I'm sorry, I keep getting caught up in the conversation, so I'm gonna say my least favorite one was Jack with Angelo on the rooftop because Jack feels a little too forgiving of Angelo, and I guess it's kind of to show that he still has some mistrust. You can kind of tell in the scene, but like at the same time, I don't know, like
I mean, he does say you're not
Mm,
traveling with me.
yeah, he does forbid the
yeah,
traveling and stuff, but like he also doesn't beat the shit out of him too. Like
right. Like
you
he
you
doesn't
you
yeah, you would
tortured me for like how long?
yeah. Yeah, like given everything that happens to him,
Mhm.
his response is a bit muted for
I
what you'd
mean,
expect.
it's
Like,
a good thing that they need Angelo for later because it would make perfect sense for him to throw Angelo off the top of that building. Because,
mm, yeah,
mm.
like
They don't want Jack to be that dark this season.
but yeah, I guess for me it was like it felt like even I get him not being like shouty at him because to some degree he realizes, well, I didn't exactly tell him I'm immortal, and this is also like not only is it just he's a random dude who's never seen this kind of shit before, but
Mhm.
also this is the 1920s. Like yeah, probably stands to
Well,
reason someone's going to think someone who's immortal is the devil, especially
I,
if they're
I
Catholic.
I think it was more running through his head. Angelo could have just fucked off and left him there forever, but
Yeah.
actually came back for him
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but even like sort of like a sort of I guess he didn't even have to be seething with rage so much as just coming off as more like damn, this could have maybe worked, but you kind of fucked it up.
Mhm.
So, like, there doesn't seem like as much of an underlying sadness as there could have been. I guess, like, if that's the way he was gonna go with it, like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It feels like, and maybe it's just because it's a matter of like Jack trying to mask how he really feels by just being flippant. But yeah, although it is hilarious how like after that he recovers and runs off after everything that's happened because he's kind of groggy after he first gets let go and then he's totally fine to just drop off a building and then get up and
I
run
mean,
away.
dying is what resets him. So if anything, he probably felt better after dying and coming back than after
Hmm,
than before.
right.
But my least favorite scene, and I don't care how they tried to explain it in the episode, Jack, who has lived with immortality for millennia and learned how much it sucks, turning around and being like, well, now that I'm mortal, if I'm at risk of dying, I would kill you. Like,
Yeah,
fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right. Like if it had been more like I need to sort this situation out related, I'd kind of get it more. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
as a mortal person who would not kill my friend if it came between me and their family member, like, fuck
Hmm.
out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very Jack thing to say, but it is also like, wait, so before you were kind of wishing for death, and now that you've got like now that you can die suddenly, you're like, no, I'm going to kill you if it means I stay alive. Like it's very
Right.
what? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like again, as I said, if it was more a matter of if I like I need to at least get this sorted and then I would be willing to die. Fair enough, but that's not he just basically says now that I have mortality, I'm going to kill anyone who tries to get in my way of continuing to live.
Yep. So yeah, that's mine. On to final thoughts. Alex.
Uh
You could tell, I feel like you could tell
yeah.
I'm getting groggy. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
spacing out more. We've been going for over 2 hours
uh
now, so
yeah, like I like this. I don't necessarily think I liked it as much as the previous episode. I don't think it's like dramatically worse or anything. Um like it's still fairly solid. The slower pace works for me in terms of this being kind of a breather before the final stretch because we've got like episodes 8, 9, 10 left. Um so this works as kind of a breather and a lead in to the sort of yeah, again, to the final stretch. Um yeah, like there's things that bug me, but this is still better than like some of the opening few episodes. It didn't lose me. I remembered more than I thought I would upon the rewatch, which was nice. And shows that it still stuck with me. But yeah, it it didn't necessarily quite have the impact that the previous arguably two episodes had, but by no means do I think it was crap. Um, I think that's all I've got.
Aaron, final thoughts.
Okay, I did think this was a little bit slower pace for me. I did enjoy the kind of twist at the end that Angela was still alive and somehow connected to the miracle, so it didn't feel like everything was a waste of time, so um and I also enjoyed the action that was involved with rescuing Gwen's family, even if it was just a little bit, and I actually really enjoyed Eve Miles's acting, especially in the car scenes, because like if her heart weren't in it, it would have been even worse of a slog to get through everything. So yeah, it's not the worst episode in that. I was kind of amped from all the action and everything like that. So I guess I was just kind of hoping for a little bit more.
That's it?
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, so for mine, I really wish the flashbacks were connected with more modern day reveals or plot points. For example, if we met Angelo and then had the flashback to him, or if Jack was physically explaining things to Gwen. Either that, or if they kind of spread these flashbacks over the season, kind of like Arrow or something like that.
Mhm.
Without that, the driving scenes just feel like they're stretching out the episode and kind of making it more of a slog, and just kind of being like, okay, yeah, let's get back to the flashback, uh, which kind of hurts a good chunk of the episode. Um, and that's really all I have written down for final thoughts, which we've kind of talked about a lot of that already.
Mhm.
So on to ratings, and I'm kind of torn between two ratings, so I don't know. Maybe hearing more will convince me, or maybe I just need to pick one.
Uh, I think I like this just enough less than the previous three, by the looks of it. To drop this down slightly, so I'm gonna give this a flat 4.
4.0. Why is the formatting wrong? All right, Aaron.
I'm going to probably drop this down quite a bit, down to 3.5.
And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit the right arrow.
The right arrow for me?
Yeah, from final thoughts to ratings.
Oh yeah, I am on ratings right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. My
Yep.
Twitch window just turned over as you said that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and I think I need to refresh Twitch because it's a bit behind. Okay.
Yeah, we were kind of dropping in kilobytes too, I think, but didn't really seem to be losing too many
There
frames,
we go.
so.
Now, yeah. So before I hit refresh, it hadn't even shown either of the ratings yet.
Oh
Now that
wow.
I've refreshed, it's showing both of them. So yeah. So this does not help my decision because I was like, oh, I want am I a 3.5 or a
Which one
4?
are you gonna
And now
choose,
the
Bill?
answer is a 3.5 and a 4. And I think, oh, I don't.
He goes
Um,
3.0.
I wrote 3.75 question mark on my notes. But no, so I guess I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think it's not like I think the gap between 3.5 and 4 is bigger than the gap between 3 and 3.5. So it's easier for me to justify a 3.5 than a 4. So that is what I'm going to go with.
Mhm.
If we had one more person, they could vote a 4 and I'd be happier. But all right. So that gives us a 3.67. Before I look at where it falls on the rankings, we have Miracle Day up to this point. Uh, we have 4.17 for The New World, 3.83 for Rendition, 2.67 for Dead of Night. That is our floor for this season. 4.50 Escape to LA, 4.17 Categories of Life, 4.50 Middlemen. So that is our ceiling for this season. 3.67 kind of falling, kind of. Actually, that's our second lowest rating. If we had the 3.75, it would still be the second lowest rating. Whereas if I gave it a 4, I think it might still be the second lowest rating. But this season is an average of 3.93 so far. But let's look at where the 3.67 falls on our rankings. So right now our rankings have 500 stories, and that's up to and including last week. So this would be 501, and it is tied with numbers 307 through 317, including K9 Alien Avatar, Sarah Jane Smith Ghost Town. It is better than Torchwood Adam, Torchwood Dead Man Walking, Torchwood A Day in the Death, and K9 Aeolian. And it is not as good as Sarah Jane the Gift. Uh, Give me some more spin-offs. Give me some more spin-offs. Sarah Jane Eye of the Gorgon, which is way up there. And then a bunch of, the rest is regular Doctor Who and Big Finish. And that actually, I realize as we're getting into our YouTube, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I did say I was going to mention a YouTube comment. So we had let's see if it's, yeah. So Paul said, long time no see. Our podcast gaps are getting longer and longer. Has the heart gone out of the podcast? It seems certain members don't want to be present anymore. It's just life has been getting more complicated.
Yeah.
When we had Ren and Matt were really reliable for a very long time. So even when I wasn't here
Mm.
or anything, they were always filling in the gap. But at the moment, you know, we just don't have that kind of stability. Um,
Mm.
we had talked about the possibility of it just being two of us tonight, but we would have only gone through if we had the third person's notes, if so.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
that's just kind of the situation we're in right now, and unless we have a fourth person.
Yeah.
During the summers, I'm much more reliable than I am during other parts of the year,
Mhm.
and that's just kind of the way. This podcast is not for profit, so definitely thanks for noticing. It's glad to know that we have
Mm.
somebody paying enough attention to our podcast to see that. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's not that we're not interested, we're just not capable at times.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
like there's stuff like the Canva is new for me, so I feel nervous about like contributing images and stuff because I've
Yeah.
never really worked with
Same.
Canva.
uh,
So maybe that's
Yeah.
something both Alex and I could start doing. We could start farming up images for Bill while he's busy kind of working on stuff and like help get news articles ready for him and stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, because that's
Mm.
Alex already kind of does that already. So.
Yeah, like especially like as I said, like now that I am uh I mean I'm on long service leave for now, but the idea is that I'll be leaving my job when it's done.
Mhm.
I have a lot more free time and
Yeah, at the
mental
moment
energy to
you're
devote
the
to that.
reliable one of the podcasts at the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um and it really is a thing of like I know some people who do watch could think try to get more people. It's not necessarily that easy because like I think
Mhm.
the idea is we've
Especially
been
with an
doing this
intercontinental time
right. And
matchups.
and even on top of that, it's a matter of like um we've been doing this long enough that there's kind of a rapport between us.
Mhm.
Whereas trying to bring
Yeah,
someone whom we might not even necessarily know into that could be a bit awkward.
yeah.
Yeah.
That I mean that we've actually have had people who that didn't fit in well with the rapport that was going on in the past. So yeah,
Mm,
that is a factor.
Mhm.
yeah.
But yeah, so next time, and at this moment, I'm pretty sure we're all expecting it'll be 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
We'll be reviewing Ninth Doctor Adventures: Fond Farewell, written by David K. Barnes and starring Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor. So we're moving away from the depression of Miracle Day, although it could be just as depressing. Who knows with Big Finish?